After a welcome by our President and CEO, Steve Saltzman, you are going to hear from Kathy Paradise. She's our Vice President of Residential Lending and Compliance. Kathy will talk about our welcome home loans. And then she will be followed by Alan Blake. He's our new home specialist. Alan is leading our initiative to fill empty lots in resident-owned communities, also called ROCs. Okay, it's time to begin. Please welcome our President and CEO, Steve Saltzman, to kick things off.
Thanks, Katie. And I want to thank everybody for coming today and taking time out to listen to this. I've wanted to do this webinar for some time. It's the 20th anniversary of our mortgage lending for people to buy homes, the Welcome Home Loan Program. Last year, we made more mortgages to more people to buy homes than at any time in our history. And this is at a time where it was allegedly impossible to buy a home in New Hampshire. We did 117 mortgages, the average one being about $86,000. That's the senior mortgage, with people, being asked to put down 5%. I mean, yes, helping people buy their first home is really, really important. But I think there's a lot more to the program than that. Every academic study I've read shows that when home ownership rises, entire communities benefits. Kids do better in school, crime rates go lower, fewer people get divorced. But I think home ownership serves two other purposes that we don't really talk about very often. It creates safety when people own their own homes, both psychological and physical. And it also fosters community. And these things I'm talking about are really invisible impacts. You can't point to it when you drive by. How do you point to community or higher school, kids doing better in school? But these impacts they're indelible, they're lasting, they're multi-generational. It brings to mind something that happened to me a couple of years ago. I was invited to North Carolina State University for the 20th anniversary of their business school. And it was called the Poole School of Business and Management. And it's probably the 30th best business school in the country at this point. And I did what anybody would do, at the reception. I went to go talk to the guy in the bright red sport coat, and Ted Poole, who had given $40 million. And I said to him, Mr. Poole, why'd you do this? Why did you choose this? And thinking, he could have chosen cancer or, and any number of things. And he said, I wanted to put my name on something big. And I thought about that. And what I want to say is I appreciate all of you that are our supporters, those of you that made donations, some of those of you that invest in the Community Loan Fund, that you chose to do something that is really multi-generational, but often invisible, but really, really important, and that made a material impact in New Hampshire, and will continue to do so. Our Welcome Home Loan team, often exists in the shadow, of our ROC program. But in of itself, like if you just looked at our Welcome Home Loan team, it would be the largest community development financial institution in the state and one of the largest in New England. I mean, our portfolio now is $44 million, which is very large, compared to the other 1,400 CDFIs in the United States. We were able to do all those mortgages last year for a couple of reasons, and I want to talk about two of them. The first one is, as an organization, we rejected the received wisdom that manufactured housing is not an asset. Katie did some research. If you look back at the last 5 years, manufactured housing in New Hampshire appreciated 64%, compared to 31% for stick-built homes. That's a smart investment. But all of this would have been impossible, without our supporters. All of you that made investments, all of you that made donations. It's critical for what we accomplished, and it's critical for what we want to do in the future. With banks tightening their credit windows, more and more people are coming to us. And we are this year we're only going to exceed what we did last year. And your investments and your donations are really critical to meeting that demand. I'm proud of the work that we did in the last year in our Welcome Home Loan Program, and I hope you are too. There are 1,400 CDFIs in the United States, just like the Community Loan Fund that I mentioned. But almost all of them get their loan capital from banks, because of the Community Reinvestment Act. And they're all susceptible to the ups and downs of the Treasury market. We're unique in our ability to serve when times are tough because of your support. Our rates haven't changed. To give you a sense about how important what we're doing is and what you have chosen to do is, tomorrow, I'm going to be speaking with a group from the United Kingdom. The CDFI movement, the Community Loan Fund movement in England, is very small. And the head of the CDFIs there, along with several government officials, two of the largest banks in England, the head of their impact investing community, they're going to be hosting a webinar tomorrow where I and one of our investors is going to be speaking about what the Community Loan Fund does with our investor pool and our grant pool. England, the people in England think that what we're doing here in New Hampshire is a model for how to grow their Community Loan Fund model. But anyway, thank you for all your support. And one last note I want to make, the very first loan that we made 20 years ago, April, going back 20 years, paid off this week. Anyway, with that, I want to turn it over to my colleague, Kathy Paradise. It is Kathy and her team that are really responsible for all this great work.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Kathy Paradise, the Consumer Loan Fund's Vice President of Residential Lending and Compliance. I'd like to talk with you about our Welcome Home Loans and what we've learned in our 20 years making mortgage loans. We'd like to share a short video about a recent Welcome Home borrower, a young woman working in the North Country.
Now that I have a house, it's kind of given me like a new courage. It's changed me in a little way. I don't know how, but I've changed. New Hampshire Community Loan Fund made it so easy to get this house, and I couldn't be more happy and more proud of myself for getting it.
Welcome Home Loans are fixed-rate mortgages on manufactured homes, sometimes called mobile homes, located in resident-owned communities or ROCs, and on the owner's land in New Hampshire. Unlike in most other states, where manufactured homes are considered personal property like an automobile, boat, or snowmobile, New Hampshire considers them real estate, just like any other home. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be able to make these loans. Our borrowers are primarily essential workers, families, seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities. Their median family income is $66,000. In addition, the home design fits a number of lifestyle needs because all of the living is on one floor. We all know what a challenge affordable homeownership is these days, with the average home price of more than $445,000 and monthly mortgage payments around $3,151. Compare that to the cost of a manufactured home. Our average loan amount is $92,000, even for our borrowers located in resident-owned communities where homeowners pay an additional lot fee for use of the land under their homes. The average all-in housing expense is $1,261 a month. As you can see, that housing expense is even less than renting a similarly sized apartment. In 2023, owning a manufactured home is the most affordable housing option, even more affordable than renting a similarly sized apartment. That puts many home buyers on the path to wealth and equity building. It also equates to more than $3,800 per year that our borrowers can use for other expenses. These days, with costs for electricity, groceries, and other things rising, saving $3,800 is huge for household budgets. Our last fiscal year ended last June. Home prices in New Hampshire also climbed to record levels. So did our lending. We had a record-breaking year with 7.8 million in mortgage loans. This year, we're on track to blow that record up. To date, we've loaned 7.7 million to get people into safe and affordable housing. Those numbers look awesome, and we're celebrating them. Behind the scenes, those numbers also reflect a couple of things we've learned about our borrowers' needs and how we've responded. Let me pull back the curtain and tell you about them. The first is that many welcome home loan applicants who could afford the monthly mortgage payments don't have the savings to cover a down payment and closing costs. Even our down payment requirement of 5% compared to 20% for conventional mortgage loans is beyond the reach of some families to save up. This created an opportunity for us to do more. In 2017, thanks to several funders, we created homeowner assistance loans to help fill this gap. The borrowers we help with down payment and closing costs are able to buy homes and hopefully build savings for unexpected expenses. The homeowner assistance loan is a 0% loan that isn't repaid until the home is sold or refinanced. And when it is repaid, we can lend it to other borrowers. We're also reminded that hardships can happen and that a job loss, health issues, or personal struggles can quickly affect our household finances. Our borrowers aren't any different. So we created a benefit for all of our borrowers that is unique in the lending industry. The Borrower's Easy Assistance Program makes available a suite of services ranging from a free initial legal consultation to resources on locating child or elder care to support for managing stress. It is identical to the benefit our employees enjoy, and we provide it because our care and concern for the people we serve doesn't end with a monthly check they write. And we learned that New Hampshire's 145 resident-owned communities, or ROCs, need help putting homes on their vacant lots. Welcome Home Loans currently has more than 300 pre-qualified borrowers who can't find manufactured homes to buy. ROCs have hundreds of house lots sitting vacant. Connecting the two is a natural fit. Here's a short video that illustrates the possibilities in one section of the state, the Monadnock region.
The state of affordable housing in the region is in crisis mode. It's really a struggle to find housing either to rent or to buy if you're making $15, $16, $17 an hour. I mean, we're seeing right now restaurants not operating at full capacity because they can't find the staff to fill the shifts. Resident-owned communities are often overlooked as affordable housing solutions that can meet the budget of everyday working families.
This park is about family, and this is what we wanted. When we became a co-op, we wanted this park to be a family. We have all types of people that live here. We have the low income, the medium income, mothers that stay home with their children. We have mechanics, to carpenters, to plumbers. We want to keep housing affordable for everybody.
To own a manufactured home is about $1,000 a month now, compared to a rental cost of about $1,500 a month. The manufactured homes are a really common choice for people who are buying their first home or retirees buying their last home. There's also a big portion of people with disabilities, much more common than the general population, because manufactured homes are easy to take care of, one-floor living, low taxes, very easy to put a ramp on the front. Right now, you can buy a manufactured home, a brand new, beautiful, pick your own colors manufactured home, typically about $90,000. The rest of the New Hampshire real estate market, it's about $400,000. Just makes it so affordable for people who want to know that not every dollar in their pocket is going to their housing.
So we had a couple that came through. They live in Massachusetts and they work in New Hampshire, so they wanted to move up here. And they drove through and they were impressed by the construction. They're doing improvements, and this is the community that I want to live in. We had 6 empty spots, so we have 2 reserved, so we have 4 more empty spots that we're looking to bring some new homes in.
We have 328 lots. We have 307 houses. So we have 21 more lots to fill.
We know that there are about 300 vacant lots right now. Placing new manufactured homes is part of the solution for workforce housing. When people are able to come into a new manufactured home and see the quality that's built in, see the energy features, see the kitchen design, you can pick your carpet, people feel like it's home.
I'd like to now turn the program over to our colleague, Alan Blake, the Rock NH team's new home specialist. Alan will describe how he works with Rocks to create more affordable housing across the state.
Thanks, Kathy. That was an awesome video. I've seen it a few times, and every time I do, I just feel more energized about the work that I do. So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today. I really appreciate it. Our Vacant Lots initiative works with leaders of resident-owned communities, also called Rocks, to place new or used homes in their communities. Left empty lots can be a blight on a neighborhood. Left empty and untended to, they often become overgrown and unsightly over time. And old abandoned homes can become health and safety risks too. All that has a negative impact on the property values of neighboring homes, on a community's attractiveness, and on a Rock's ability to provide other services. On the other hand, putting a home on a lot generates additional revenue for the community. Although lot rents vary significantly from one Rock to another, New Hampshire Rock's average rent is about $575 per month. So multiply that by 12 months, and that's an additional $6,900 in annual operating revenue. That's significant for a community of, say, 60 homes, which is about the average size of a Rock in New Hampshire. So vacant lots are clearly incredible opportunities for these communities. There are about 300 vacant lots in New Hampshire's 145 resident-owned communities, a vacancy rate of a little under 3%. Imagine if those co-ops could fill all of those lots. At a lot rent of $575 per month, that's nearly $2.1 million of potential operating revenue that Rocks could use to improve infrastructure, make the community more sustainable, and help keep rents low. Not to mention creating 300 new affordable housing units for New Hampshire's working families. So filling vacant lots is a daunting challenge for Rocks. If you have ever acted as the general contractor for building your own home, you know there's a lot to it. This includes everything from lot preparation and excavation, pouring cement pads and installing homes, as well as things like permitting, working with home dealers, marketing the home to potential buyers, hiring and overseeing contractors and tradespeople, sometimes demolishing and removing old dilapidated homes. Remember, Rock board members are volunteers. They typically have jobs, families, and other obligations in addition to the responsibilities of running their cooperative business. That's where our vacant lot initiative comes in. We provide assistance in a lot of ways. First, we list vacant lots on MLS, the multiple living listing service, through our Rock New Hampshire team broker. This allows co-ops to market vacant lots to potential members who may be interested in purchasing and installing a home in their own, acting as their own general contractor or hiring out that work. Another thing we provide is training. We help Rock residents understand the benefits of filling vacant lots, the challenges they'll face, and how to overcome them. We've even developed a series of training videos available on our website. We offer lines of credit that empower cooperatives to borrow money to purchase homes for vacant lot projects, repay the loan when the home is sold, and then redraw on the line of credit to fill additional lots. We help co-ops develop relationships with manufactured home dealers, developers, contractors, and local officials. This facilitates the permitting, the purchase, the installation, and the marketing tasks. And finally, we have a dedicated staff member, that's me, who helps communities navigate the process according to the particular circumstances in their community. In 2021, we assisted in installing 25 homes into vacant lots. In 2022, that grew to 31 new homes. And in 2023, we are well on our way to 40 new homes or more. Keep in mind, those are largely pandemic years when supply chain issues stretched delivery times to 12 months or more, and home prices increased dramatically. So you could say that filling vacant lots is the process of turning problems into opportunities for Rocks. Filling lots makes communities more financially sustainable. It improves the visual appearance of the neighborhood. It improves public health and safety, and it also helps protect community property values. All the while, it directly responds to the state's need for more affordable workforce housing. I'd also like to add that filling vacant lots often enhances community self-esteem and boosts their confidence to take on other projects. Everyone wants to be part of a success story, right? And when co-op members see vacant lots or unsightly abandoned homes replaced with shiny new homes and new neighbors moving in, it gives them a sense of self-determination and a feeling that, hey, if we can do this to improve our community, we can do other things too. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Alan. That's pretty amazing work, right? And for that, we need to thank you, our supporters. It's your investment dollars that we lend to home buyers and resident-owned communities to create and preserve affordable homes. And it's your donations that pay for the time and effort Alan puts into helping communities fill their vacant lots. And now it's your turn to talk. We welcome any questions you have about our Welcome Home Loans, our Vacant Lots Initiative, or anything else about the Community Loan Fund that you were curious about. You can type your questions into the chat box or use Zoom's raise hand function to get our attention. And I've already seen a question or two in the chat. We have one from Ned Hulbert. He asks, how well do manufactured homes address needs for weatherization, energy, long-term maintenance versus stick-built homes? And what are the issues here? And I don't know if Alan or Kathy want to take that one.
Really good question. Thank you for asking. Manufactured homes do have a number of energy efficiencies built in. In fact, you can even get an Energy Star rated home. A lot of the processes and tools in the construction industry are in manufactured homes, such as the super insulation, the vinyl siding, the vinyl windows, energy efficient heating systems. So they definitely are very comparable. And as with any home, you know, a lot of it depends on how well you take care of it. We all have home maintenance we have to do on a regular basis. A manufactured home is the same. You take care of them and they will do well for you.
I would just add to that what Kathy said, in that there's programs through the New Hampshire Department of Energy and USDA for weatherization, grants and low interest loans, and also through local utilities, so that manufactured homeowners can take advantage of as well.
Great. Ann Hill asks, when we use the MLS, does it offer a commission, and who does the listing, and who would an interested buyer contact if they wanted to buy a home?
So we have a broker on staff that puts the lots on the MLS. And if the inquiry comes directly to that broker, then there's no cost for the co-op. If it comes from another broker, then there is a cost if a home actually ends up being placed on that lot. I think that cost depends, but it's pretty minimal, and it's pretty easily incorporated into the sale price of the home.
James Kelly asked if we support accessory dwelling unit homes. I imagine is that Are those homes placed on existing properties? Kathy, Alan?
I think that I'll let you handle. I assume they're talking about in-law apartments, what we used to call in-law apartments, or, but I'll let you handle that one, Kathy.
Some of that is going to depend on the individual community zoning as to whether you could put a manufactured home on an existing lot with a house as an accessory dwelling unit. Or is the question, do you support adding an accessory dwelling unit to a manufactured home? And we have seen both cases happen. So.
Great. Roy Hickok asks if we do VA loans, or can VA loans be used?
We are not a VA lender. If an individual wants to use their VA guarantee, they would have to find a VA lender. There is a process to become a VA lender. We can certainly make referrals to a certified VA lender, but at this point, we are not VA lenders.
And Sherry Nixon has a question that we knew was going to be asked. Steve mentioned that our interest rates have remained the same, even as mortgage rates have increased. Has our program not been impacted by the higher interest rates out there?
Kathy, hi, this is Bonnie Skidova. I'm the CFO at the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund. Thanks everybody for joining us. So I'm happy to say that even in this rising rate environment, there's been no impact on this program. We've been able to keep our rates steady. We're all about fixed rates in and fixed rates out. And, you know, we've been doing this work for almost 40 years, and we've seen rising and falling rates. And the cost of funds that we pay to our investors is just incredibly stable. Our investors are primarily here on mission. And so even as rates rise, we do see a small uptick, but that's to be expected, and we prepare for that. But on the whole, our investors are incredibly supportive and help us, knowing that our borrowers need fixed rates. So thanks to our supporters for really stretching.
Great, and I see one of our guests, Janet Ackerman, and a good friend of the Community Loan Fund, has her hand raised. Janet, do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. And it's the numbers geek in me. You've talked about how you're adding significantly to the number of mortgages that you're making. And I know that's not the only good deeds you do with your money. So I'm wondering, how does that impact your finances?
Yeah, Janet, that's a good question. I would say, overall, the organization is doing really well financially. We're having a good year. We've had a couple of good years, strong fundraising results and strong earnings. And those stronger earnings means we're more self-sufficient. Every year, our self-sufficiency has been increasing. A big part of that is that, despite these difficult times, our borrowers are just really resilient. Loan losses have been very low, about $100,000 over the last 12 months. Very few loans in the troubled loan category, less than 2%. So this is something to be proud of, but it's something that we're watching. We're in tough times, and so we've worked hard at increasing our reserves so that we're protecting our investors, and that we have room to be able to, keep our rates fixed and to have patient capital for our borrowers so that we can be there for them. And then like many other CDFIs, the demand for our loans has grown. We're kind of counter-cyclical in a way. When there's economic downturn, that's when a CDFI is needed. And we're seeing our demand very high in this program and all of our programs. So we're in the middle of a capital raise right now. We're looking for more donations and more investments to be able to do more affordable housing loans and mission loans.
Thank you, Bonnie. And thank you for that great question, Janet. Our friend George Economy has a question about something that's very important to him. When someone purchases a $90,000 manufacturing home, how much is spent on New Hampshire sourced labor and raw materials? Is how much of that investment goes back into other New Hampshire businesses? Do we have some raw numbers on that?
I don't think that we have any raw numbers on that, but I will say two things. First, that the manufactured homes are almost always manufactured somewhere outside of New Hampshire. So there's very little percentage of the actual price of the home, but there's a lot of ancillary costs that are performed by New Hampshire businesses. And that includes things like excavating a lot, putting in a cement pad, all the tradespeople that need to do the utility connections from electrical, plumbing, those types of things. There's also the marketing costs and sometimes legal costs. So there are a lot of, it generates a lot of business for local businesses.
Thank you, Alan. Joan Pratt asks, with community power coming to some New Hampshire communities, would a manufactured home site in such a town be able to take advantage of the lower electricity rate available in that town?
Yeah, so each homeowner is choosing their own, is responsible for their own electric costs, so they can choose their provider. So they would be able to the extent that we have choice in New Hampshire, they would be able to take advantage of that.
Great. And this is a process question for maybe an interested borrower. How does someone apply? Do they apply to our program and then seek a home? How would they go about seeking a home in the first place?
Really good question. What the Welcome Home team recommends is that a borrower contact us to go through the pre-qualification process. And that's a simple 15-20-minute phone call with one of our experienced originators to find out what price home they could qualify for once they put in an application. And then we issue a pre-qualification letter that they can take to a realtor. They would want to choose their own realtor. And we do recommend that they have a buyer's agent who will act on their behalf in negotiating the contract. But also the buyer's agent will help them to locate a home that meets their needs. A lot of times realtors know about homes that are coming on the market before they hit the MLS. So having that combination of getting the pre-qualification in place, working with the originator, working with the realtor, and then getting the contract and then coming to us to proceed through the rest of the process is really the smoothest way for the borrower to get into safe, affordable housing.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm trying to see if there's any more hands raised.
Joan has her hand up.
Oh, Joan.
You're on mute, Joan.
I think I phrased my question wrong because I live in Exeter and I just wanted to make sure that the people who are in charge, of the manufactured housing sites in Exeter know that we will be starting to begin to join Community Power with our May bills this year. We passed it last year, and in May, our first round of bills will be available, and it's going to mean a huge cut in electricity costs for people in Exeter because the rate that has been negotiated is about 39% lower than what we are paying right now for electricity. So that's going to be available to people in manufactured housing parks in Exeter and other towns that in New Hampshire that have also already adopted Community Power. There are, I think, about 10 towns in the state that have already. So the people in these community parks are citizens of the town, and they will be able to be available to get these rates. So I hope that the people that are running the parks make that clear to people living in the parks. It's a pretty exciting, I mean, the rate that they negotiated just about 2 weeks ago was way better than they even imagined it was going to be. Not to mention that the electricity that you get is going to have a whole lot more renewable base in it than it does currently. There'll be more energy that is renewable from renewable sources than has been. This is for Unitil. So I'm sorry, I'm speaking totally about Unitil right now in Exeter.
If you sent that information to me, then I could post that on our Facebook page that Rock residents see. That might be a useful way to communicate that information.
Okay,
I'll make sure you get Alan's information, Joan. Thank you so
okay,
much.
thank you.
Kathy Pellerin asks if there is a list of empty lots available in various resident-owned communities. Where would someone find a list of empty lots?
So we don't publish a list of empty lots, but if somebody contacts me, I'll get a list to them. You might want to have a conversation about which lots are most appropriate to pursue in terms of their preparedness to accept a new home on them.
Thank you. Pat Pragoff asks if a borrower can qualify for one of these loans for a home if they already own it, right?
Absolutely. Once you buy a manufactured home, it's like any other home. You're building equity that you can use for things in the future, such as making improvements, debt consolidation. Quite often we do refinances for people, and it ends up saving them significantly when they do those debt consolidations.
Ned Halbert asks for a rock. What is the average extra cost per rock or resident-owned community if you must dig a well, put in septic system versus plug into town for water, plumbing services?
So Ned, we consider a vacant lot one that has utilities available to it. So at least theoretically, they should not have to build a new septic tank or a new water line to get to that vacant lot. The lot should be prepared to take on a new home. In some cases, there's some minor repairs. They might have a water pipe that's been leaking and needs to be fixed, or the electric service might need to be upgraded or something like that. But it's usually just a few $1,000s at the most. Oftentimes, however, if there's no pad on the lot, which there usually isn't, who pays for the lot is really negotiable between the co-op and the potential home buyer. So there might be some cost there, or they might share the costs.
Great. And I'm trying not to miss everyone in chat. I know a lot of great questions have come in. We also had Trent Spinner had his hand raised. I know he's excited to ask something.
I'm leaving this webinar feeling very inspired. And I was thinking back in my life, like what helped me be successful. And there were three things: loving and supportive parents, being able to get a free public education. And Janet, I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out on this webinar, but the third thing was having access to capital through a mortgage. And I will tell you, when I was 23 years old, Janet Ackerman worked with me. I was making probably, I don't know, Janet, $400 a week. And I had a freelance writing income that was up and down. And we won't talk about how many years ago that was for either of us, but the ability to get access to capital, to have a place to live, to be able to make that investment has completely changed my life. And I am so inspired by the work that you do. And I know Janet doesn't work at the Community Loan Fund, but that type of work that you all do is so important for people and has set me up for the ability to be able to. I was already a donor for the Community Loan Fund, and I very soon will be an investor in the Community Loan Fund, thanks to people like Janet and the people who work at the Community Loan Fund to make this possible for people like me. So thank you all for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Katie, can I just respond, give a little more detail? I see that in Ned's question, he was asking about the cost of a well and septic versus town water and plumbing.
Yes.
And if there is town water and sewer available, it's the cost to the co-op are typically much lower, and the home becomes more attractive if it's connected to town water and sewer, and the ongoing maintenance is usually less expensive too. So that's the much preferred scenario, is that there's town water and sewer available.
And we have someone, who's who's been looking to buy a home and hasn't been successful. Kathy, what do we do in that scenario? Are these hot commodities, people wanting to buy these manufactured homes because they're such affordable places to live? What does the landscape look like?
Unfortunately, that is the situation because there's a lack of affordable housing. If a house goes up for sale, chances are there are probably, at least 5 multiple offers. So it's a lot of times who gets there first with the best offer. What we did start doing a couple of years ago to give our borrowers more of a level shot in the playing field was the pre-qualification process. Because that's something we can do fairly quickly, get a pre-qualification letter out to the borrower. They can turn around and contact a realtor and get those offers in. We also do have some options, such as placing a new home on one of those empty lots. So definitely that is something we can work with. So if the individual would like to reach me, I did put my phone number in the chat. I'd love to have a conversation and talk about ways we might be able to help you.
And I would just add to that, that in the case of homes being put into vacant lots, in most cases, they're being sold before they're actually installed.
We have a question. It says, what are the efforts to get this information and opportunities into our growing BIPOC communities? That's a great question and something that we're very focused on. Kathy, do you want to talk about that?
We are working with individuals at the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund that are very embedded in the BIPOC communities to look at ways to change our printed media to make it more inclusive, to look at ways we need to get the word out, organizations we can affiliate with. There are a number of things that we're working on to get the word out. I mean, manufactured housing is affordable. Everybody needs housing, and anything we can do to get it going.
Great. Yeah, and we're always, if you know community organizations that we should be connected with to get our information out, please reach out to us. All of our emails are on our website. We're always looking to get deeper into the communities, deeper to the people who need these kinds of housing. Oh, and Steve Saltzman says we have added 6 new language competencies to our staff. Yes, so we are seeking Spanish speaking individuals to work with us. But we know, in New Hampshire, I think in Manchester alone, there's like 72 different languages. So we're going to do our best to reach all of those people. Do we have any other questions? Is anyone else raising their hand? I know that my colleagues have been pointing me to people that I've missed, and I apologize if I've missed anybody else. But it looks like that might be the last of the questions. I really want to thank you all for all of your wonderful questions. This was a great discussion. I even learned some more about this organization. And I want to thank you, as always, for your support of the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund's work around affordable home ownership. It's not all that we do, but in this time, it's one of the most important things that we do. And we cannot do it without you. We look forward to seeing you at some of our future events. We are about to celebrate our 40th anniversary, so stay tuned for some information on that. And have a great, wonderful rest of this beautiful spring day.